started, scrimming and playing in tournaments and whatnot.
Yep.
Um, as of, I would say, 3 or so months ago, I started getting back into, um, the scrimming environment and um, started getting back into the game really. And recently, I've, gotten to much higher ranks than I had before. So, um, I'm like hanging around like top 200 right now. But
Okay.
I want to really push for like GM1 champion rank.
Yep.
And I kind of want to figure out how I can, go from like good to like really great.
Okay.
And I think there's some like gaps in my play that, I keep like probably peaking around like mid GM4 and then kind of dropping down again and then coming
Right.
back up. So I haven't
Okay.
really been able to like hold GM3 or get to GM2 yet. So I want to see why I can't, reach that. And then also, um, like see how that translates into playing in a more coordinated environment too.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. So are you with a team currently scrimmaging?
Yes.
Okay. How often do you
Um,
guys scrimmage?
we, I think we aim for like 4 or 5 days a week, but we're looking for some new players because a lot of people keep, bailing out last minute, which
Yeah,
is
of
really
course.
frustrating.
I mean, it happens. It happens. Like, frankly, you're not at a very serious scrim SR.
Yeah.
I mean, relatively. So, I mean, that's pretty demanding, and so
Right.
that's going to be how it goes. So, I think in your best interest, you can do the best that you can. Ride with the team that you're with. If you get a couple scrims a week, great. But until you're like GM2, GM1, you might have a hard time finding a team that's
Right.
consistently scrimmaging. So, okay, I
Yeah.
want to learn more about my mistakes and how to identify and work on them. Positioning at timing of writing this. Actually, let's pause on the game stuff here. I'm actually going to go through your form and focus on mostly like the way that you're approaching things. So, what
Sure.
is your motivation to go pro? What about pro is appealing to you right now?
So so when I first started going pro, um, I did it because it was like my only option. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't doing well in school and stuff, and I really wanted to, and I was like decent at the game at the time, so I wanted to, see how far I could get with that and make a career out of it.
Sure.
Um, Present day, like I was able to get a job as a software engineer, and I'm doing fine financially.
Yep.
And I'm still not satisfied with it. And playing
Sure.
Overwatch and winning and being very competitive is very invigorating to me.
Sure.
And gives me a lot of passion.
Sure.
So yeah, and yeah, just being able to compete and express my skills and improve myself. Like improving myself is probably the biggest thing. Like I really
Yeah.
just
Of
like
course.
seeing progress and whatnot.
Of course.
And esports is a pretty good metric to compare against.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think there is something to be said about just setting goals and accomplishing goals and then moving on to the next thing. I think the last 10 years of my life, I've tried it and done and accomplished a lot of different things. And maybe not been the best at everything that I did, but I did try and compete in a lot of different things, right? And I think
Right.
that was
Yeah.
a very satisfying thing to do. So, totally understandable here. So, what do you feel is holding you back from improving? Mostly mechanical stuff. We'll get to that later. Okay, so let's talk about training schedule right now. So you say
Okay.
that you work full time, which
Yes.
is both a benefit and a drawback because it means that you're probably
Right.
have a little bit more maturity, a little bit more structure to how you approach things than the average degenerate. Um, but where are you at right now in terms of playtime? I know the form says around 5 to 8. How does that look like right now on an average day?
Recently I injured myself with like a wrist tendonitis, probably
Mm-hmm.
because of either the gym or just overuse of
Okay.
playing. So I do play a lot. I try to play. I usually get home from work around like 5,
Okay.
and I'll play probably until like midnight.
Yep.
So probably around that 5 to 8 hour range, and then as much as I can on weekends, really. Because
Sure.
understanding that I'm pursuing Path to Pro, like I need to have a lot of playtime, um, and just to stay consistent with that. So yeah, probably around like 5 to 8 still.
Okay, okay. And then how is that time spent? Do you have a warm up? Do you just jump into play? You're a
I
DPS
typically
player,
do
so
Vaxta for like 30 minutes. Recently, I've been doing a little bit of aim lab, then Vaxta.
okay,
But I do Vaxta on like 150 movement speed.
okay.
Um,
And how has that
and
gone for you?
yeah, it actually, so since starting doing Baxta, like I noticed my aim dramatically improve.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I noticed it helped me get better at reading strafing. And I've been
Okay.
able to like track unpredictable strafes, better that like way better than I used to have. So, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that attributed to me, getting a higher rank. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I've noticed it's been working. I think the improvements like plateaued a little bit.
Okay.
But occasionally I use it to like practice, um, like other mechanical things like crosshair placement after tracer blinks.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
or like
Sounds good.
yeah.
Sounds good. And then in terms of hero pool, where are you at right now?
Right now
You're.
I'm playing mostly Ash Widow Tracer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I run in scrims. I don't really end up playing anything else. Maybe like an occasional Cassidy.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
That's,
that's pretty much it. I don't really. Yeah, there's no other. Maybe a little bit of Venture, but that's
sure.
only for like one comp.
Sure, sure. Okay, makes sense. I would think that this is going to be like the biggest bang for your buck is finding out like where are you going to be able to squeeze the most value out of your time. And I think the
Hmm.
important thing to point out is that when you are working full time, you're going to have less brain energy to devote than a lot of other people.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people that you're competing with might be in school, so they're also multitasking at the same time, of course. But
Right.
the level of effort might be a little bit higher. The level of time commitment might be a little bit higher for you. So your challenge is going to be about as being as efficient as you possibly can. So looking at your schedule right now, kind of a cold call right here. What
Hmm.
needs to be done more efficiently?
Uh.
Where can you squeeze any sort of value, min max your time, more responsible? Do you have any ideas?
Hmm. Could be. I guess be more deliberate with what I'm working on whilst in Baxter.
Okay.
Unless it's just like straight up aim training.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to me about that then. Let's. So, what do you mean more deliberate?
Yeah, so I guess like I was saying earlier with like, the tracer blinks and whatnot, if I do just, straight up aim training, it's just kind of like a warm up. I mean, especially if I'm on someone like Ashe.
Yeah,
But on Ashe I could practice, like shotgunning to headshot,
yeah,
coach gun to headshot, which I was doing for a little bit, but I only did it like once.
yeah.
Um, or like getting a scoped unscoped, back to backs.
Yes.
Um, yeah, or vice versa.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So let's take note of that really quick here. So
okay.
more deliberate with Vaxta training. What else?
Um, Maybe more consistent VOD reviews. I VOD review, but
How do you VOD review? What do you VOD review? When
I
do you VOD
typically,
review?
whenever I have a game where where I knew I lost, um, and well, sorry, I knew I didn't play well, but I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
exactly why.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and I think, and when I know like a lot of my mistakes were more macro as opposed to micro, because usually the
Mm-hmm.
micro mistakes I know when I make them.
Yes.
But it's a matter of trying not to repeat it. So I try to figure out why I did it in the first place so that I can prevent myself from repeating that mistake.
Okay.
But it's not always successful. I'm not always successful in doing that.
Okay. How would you change how you approach VOD reviewing then?
Um,
Frequency, time, how long, your mentality, what games you review. Like, there's a lot of ways to approach it. So, what stands
yeah,
out to you?
maybe a more frequency, as opposed to like a higher frequency as opposed to just um, VOD reviewing when I have the bad game. Maybe like set a a day of the week to do it or something.
What's the purpose of a VOD review?
Uh, I guess highlight gaps in play or
Why?
mistakes,
Why?
so that you're more aware of the actions you're making.
Okay, so what can you do with that then? So you're more aware. Now what?
Now, when you go into a game, you can have that awareness of, well, you can use that to be aware of this, you can consciously make decisions to do or to not do certain things.
And that, in theory, corrects the mistake, or at least builds stronger habits, right?
Yes, yes.
So when would you look to be VOD reviewing, and when would you not need to VOD review,
Uh,
based off of that
wouldn't
metric?
you would technically look to VOD review when you're not aware of something,
Sure,
which is also kind of paradoxical, um,
sure, sure. But like, let's
because you
put it
don't
this way:
know if you're, yeah.
if you don't have anything that you're currently working on, that's when you need to review.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So if I
You know
don't
what I'm
have a
saying?
specific goal in mind, yeah,
Right.
that I need to review to
Or
find
if you
something.
have a
Yeah.
game where you played the game, or maybe you're confronted with a situation and you were like, I don't know what would have been like what could have allowed me to solve this problem. I didn't have the answer. I need to go find the answer.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
frankly, I think VOD reviewing is one of the most ill-used tools because it's either not done enough or it's done brainlessly too much. But like, you don't need
Right.
to review if you already have tools to work on. If you do review, the whole purpose of the review is just to see how I'm doing, right? Like, am I like really
Yeah.
going at it as intensely as I can? Maybe like a status check, but that's a really quick and easy thing to do, right?
Yeah.
But we don't have to like sit there and, daily hour. I mean, I've worked with players that want to go pro, and they've got this mindset like, all right, I'm gonna VOD review every day for 1 hour at the start of the day. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
you're like you don't need to do that. And I think like
Yeah.
either a review is something to do a check-in or to come up with a new idea of how to solve things. And I
Okay.
think even VOD reviewing a bad game because I played badly, it's a waste of time. The only time I'd VOD review a bad game is if, again, I didn't know how to handle the situation. Like, I really didn't
Right.
know
Right.
what I was supposed to do, because that's a learning gap, and that's where you can teach and theorize and think and come up with ideas. And okay, that's good. Like, you teach yourself.
Right. Right.
So okay, so let's talk about that. So let's VOD review when you don't have goals were lost on your role in a game. And to be very clear, you shouldn't always be playing a game to win it. Most of your games are going to go in with a specific thing to practice, even if that thing to
Yeah.
practice isn't going to win you the game. But like, let's say you go into a game
Right.
and you're
Right.
like, I was working on my mechanical things, but honestly here, I'm just out of curiosity. I didn't know how to position. Was there a solution? That might be fun just to teach yourself some ideas, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so VOD review. Anything else? I know this stuff is grinding, but this is the most
Yeah.
important thing we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's very very important for me too. Yeah.
Oh, one last thing with VOD review:
Sure.
as short as you can, as short as you can.
Okay.
I wouldn't say deliberately cut corners, but do not
Be
if
efficient.
be efficient as you possibly can. Yeah. What else? Vaxta VOD review. What
Okay,
about
back to
training?
VOD review.
Let's put some thought into how you're using competitive right now. Let's ignore scrimmages for
Sure.
right now. How are you playing competitive right now? You talked about a hero pool that seemed very reasonable with the amount of time that you're playing. Do you have a
Hmm.
science in how you approach those characters? Do you know when you pick which? Do you have goals for those characters? How do you approach competitive in general? Do you take breaks? Do you go in with a purpose? Do you just play? Do you duo? Do you solo queue? When let's just
Yeah.
dissect every single part in here.
Sure. So I mostly solo queue.
Okay.
I really only duo queue if it's one of my teammates.
Mm-hmm.
I pick
Do you think that's
heroes.
reasonable?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's reasonable, especially
Okay.
since my teammates are closer to my elo.
Yep.
And some of them are at my elo.
Perfect.
So it makes sense. Um, yeah, so I pick heroes. It's entirely map dependent. So whatever works. Like I'm playing Havana, I'm gonna practice the hero. Like if I play any map, I'm gonna practice the hero that I play in scrims, so that I
Okay.
can get more experience on that hero on that map. So if I'm
Okay.
playing Havana, I'm playing Widow.
Just to
If
play
I'm
devil's
playing, yeah,
advocate, I want you to
sure.
come up with, give me an idea or a reason why that might be not a bad idea, but not always the best
Mm.
idea.
Uh, the enemy team comp or our team comp could be not ideal for it.
Okay, but
Uh,
you're thinking about winning the game. I don't want you to think about
oh,
winning the
okay.
game. I want you to think about it from a
Um,
learning exercise.
maybe if I'm like specifically working on, tracer mechanics, or something related to tracer,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I don't have enough time in that day to, queue up to get like 4 tracer maps, then it's gonna take a long time for me to like actually hammer in those ideas.
Right. So in situations where you don't get the map pool or the situation that you want, you might have to force it just a little bit.
Yeah.
And maybe this is where you could have an alt account as well, where you are a little bit more like you could even have a character that you one trick on that alt account for a season, trying to force it almost regardless of map.
Hmm.
Like, have you ever
Yeah.
played Tracer in Circuit Royale? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like just
Right.
to really like kind of limit test those situations and do it. Use it occasion, not appropriately, not all the time. But I think like there's some limit testing to be done there. Maybe not on main, but yeah, just food for
Mhm.
thought there. But continue. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I mostly go in. I recently started getting. I had like a sticky note app on my computer, so I
Mm-hmm.
jot down some. When I VOD review, I jot down like the main things I want to work on for each hero.
Okay.
Um, and I haven't updated it in a while, but I should probably be more
Why
consistent in
haven't you
doing that.
updated it in a while? When's the last time you
Uh,
updated it?
Forgot about it. I think last time I updated probably a couple weeks ago.
Why have you forgotten about it?
Probably because I haven't uh had to update the goals.
Why not?
They're not measurable, so it's like,
That there is your problem, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. And the other thing too is when are you allowed to update the goals? Like when have you done enough
right.
at this task for you to move on? Have you clarified that for yourself?
Yeah, I guess at the moment it's just like whenever I feel it's good, but that's
And
not
you're never
necessarily.
going to feel it's good,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
right, yeah.
Right? Because it will never be perfect, right? Even the greatest players ever. Like so then what ends up happening is you get in this negative feedback loop where it's never good enough, and so then you're never good enough. But the problem is then because it's not fresh and new, it gets stale. You don't even practice it. Let's be honest.
Right, you forget about it.
Yeah, you forget about it, and that's the worst thing you could do with practice is forget about it. So then
Right.
what needs to change?
Oh man. Hmm.
It's
Maybe
tough, isn't it?
more. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I'm thinking like, okay, I could get like some sort of reminder. Um.
But that doesn't address the root issue, right? That might bring more light to it. But the root issue is
Uh-huh.
that you get bored and you don't have a way of measuring when you've done enough with your goal or improved at your goal.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to solve that issue.
Okay, so I guess using those goals within, well, looking at the goals while VOD reviewing, and then I guess based off of how many times I neglect or follow those goals within the games during VOD review, like that could be,
It's better. Yeah, that's
yeah.
better. Give me one of the goals. Give me one of the goals that you have in your
Sure. So
sticky note.
like with Tracer, I was focusing on setting up short range angles before fights because
Okay.
I found that I like wasn't setting up an angle, and then they were engaging and I was out of position.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay. So here's what I would say: is there's two ways of approaching this. Number one, you could do this in VOD review exactly as you said. How am I doing? Looking a little better? And what would a little better be like? Give me an estimate. Give me a percentage, a rough idea of how much better.
like only maybe like once or twice making that mistake a game, or
Yeah.
maybe
Okay.
maybe once or not at all. Yeah,
Yeah. Sure. I think once or twice is fine. Like just
but
anywhere
if it's like
that's
several times,
right. Okay.
it's
So
an
that's
issue.
that's good. The other way to look at it is some maybe you don't even need to necessarily gauge that you've improved at it at all. What you might want to think about is how many team fights in a game do I think about it before the fight happens?
Mm,
So you're not even judging the result necessarily, you're judging your intention during the game.
right.
So,
That's
so,
arguably
so
more important. Yeah.
right. So obviously the end result would be very satisfying knowing that, hey, I have improved at it. But it might be better objectively to just look at it as like, did I go in and remember to think about taking setup angles? And if that's it, then we know that you were practicing with intention, and that's all we really want.
Yeah, yeah. And then you feel more confident in yourself for being,
Right.
more proactive
So,
about it. Yeah.
so, so what you might do instead is you might go into a game with a goal. Check how intensive, how deliberate was I during that last ranked game on a scale of like 1 to 3, 1 to 4.
Hmm.
And then grade yourself.
Yeah.
And the best part about it is I would only recommend grading yourself on the first couple of games, like 4 or 5 games, something like that, first few games, something like that. And then
Okay.
after that, that's all. That's all. See how you do.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? And
Okay.
then in terms of the goals that you're setting, how long should you stick with the goal? How long should you stick with a focus or a focus or something to work on?
Is that rhetorical?
No.
Okay. Probably uh until I'm doing it without having to think about it.
That would take a very long time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. 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 Because like think about what you've been doing right now. We're talking about improving that process, but
Mhm.
you didn't get the short off angle without thinking about it as much as you
Yeah.
probably would have liked, right? You're not doing that automatically, perfectly.
Right.
And it got bored and then you stopped thinking about it entirely. So
Yeah.
what needs to change?
So,
Think about any skill that you've learned ever anywhere with anything in class and anything else. How long did you work at that specific skill?
oh, okay. So probably until it required less effort,
Sure.
since starting to learn it.
Sure. And then how did you judge that metric, you know?
Yeah. Probably by ease of, ability, right? So
Okay.
like
Okay. Sure. Sure.
if
Sure.
it doesn't require as much brain power to like, just click, okay, I'm gonna do this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Works for me. Works for
or the
me.
thought to do it comes more automatically,
But
right?
again, how do you measure that?
Oh, I guess I haven't really like measured unless it's like
Yeah,
something that's
it's
yeah.
tricky, right? It's tricky. So what? Here's what I want you to do. These are a couple of guidelines I want you to experiment with. Number one, try to find ways of measuring your intention.
Hmm.
Maybe not the result, but the intention going into the game. Like we said, we'll scale of 1 to 3, 1 to 4. How deliberate was I with my practice of that game? And then you ready for this one? Try to judge. Sometimes it's fine to just move on. If you have, like, let's say 2 to 3 days where you judged, I was pretty intensive with my focus on setting up with Tracer. You don't even know if you improved at your Tracer setups. You just move on to the next skill. And the
Huh.
reason why you do that is because, again, you do not want to become bored.
Yeah.
You just
Or
move on.
frustrate yourself. Yeah.
Or frustrate yourself. You move on. Move on. Do you think that if you worked 3 to 4 games, 2 to 3 days in a row at setups with Tracer, even without scoring, even without VOD reviewing, do you think that you would have improved at that skill?
I would hope. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's inevitable, right? How much? I
Yeah.
don't know,
Right.
but you improved. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Move on.
Okay. Would you
Re-
ever come back to that?
of
Like, would you
course,
ever?
of
Yeah. Okay.
course. But when would you come back?
Uh, Whenever you leave the next thing, or
Sure. Maybe you move
yeah.
on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. You're like, oh, I feel like I can go back. Maybe I have VOD review and I'm not happy with my setups. Time to go back.
Right. Or it's like the biggest problem or something. Part
Sure.
of your play. Yeah.
Sure. But just go back and do it again. Go back and do it again. Always
Sure.
revisiting
Yeah.
some of the same things, but keeping it fresh, keeping things in rotation, going with short bursts of intensity. It's boring to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. It takes a lot of mental energy to keep yourself interested.
Mhm.
You need to go work at something with deliberate practice and then move on. So let's add a goal here. Work at something for a few days, few games. Measure your intensity of focus, not necessarily the result. Then move on. Move on to the next skill, even if the problem isn't fixed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like an effort-based metric as opposed
That's
to
it.
result. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. That's exactly it. An effort-based metric. Now, if you would,
Yeah.
we'd love to have a results-based metric, but sometimes it just doesn't work.
Right.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it just doesn't work, and it's also
Yeah.
very difficult to measure, and it can be very lengthy to measure, and that's not reasonable or realistic with where you're at.
Hmm.
I will go as far as some people that I have worked with. We will practicing a different thing every single game.
Wow.
And it doesn't matter because the effort is there. I would not necessarily have something every single game, like 12 different things per day, right? Like I've worked with some plot players
Yeah.
that have literally 6 or 7 things that they could work on. But in that day, we might work on 2 different things, alternating each game, right? It's fine. Just whatever works for you. Try a little bit of everything. Experiment, right? Experiment. Treat yourself
Right.
like a
Yeah.
guinea pig here. You got nothing to lose here. So okay, is there anything else in terms of how you're approaching ranked, in terms of your breaks, your rest, your mentality? Is there anything else that comes to mind that could be cleaning up the quality of your practice?
Um, I don't. I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe like a team question. Like in terms of, I mean, this is just your opinion, obviously, but in terms of uh, how long I should stay on a team, uh, assuming my goals of getting in of being in a pro team, like when should I call it?
Great question. Do you feel like you're being productive, a relatively productive learning environment, challenging environment with your current team?
Yeah, relatively, yeah.
Okay.
Um, I
Okay.
think it could be better.
Okay. What
Um,
makes you think that? Have you been with a team that has been better? Or
y-
do you just feel in theory that it should be better?
I've been with I've been on teams with players that have at least individually been better.
Okay.
Some of the players that I played with are like in top 10 right now. Um, so so yeah, like I guess I know what it's been like to have, played with those players, but as like a whole team, I haven't really had that experience of, having a really good team. So I don't know if it's something that like I just have to give the team time to improve in like synergy wise, or if it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, we're screwed, and they're
Okay.
just not good enough.
Okay.
Because I
I'll,
feel like relatively to the rest of my team, I'm one of the better players on the team. So
um, again, ask yourself, am I being productive with where I'm at time wise? And then one other thing to ask as well is, are you the best player on your team?
hmm
You are?
yeah, I think I was, yeah, I'm the captain. I was picked up first.
Okay. I would maybe finish out the session, see how things are going, but I would be on the lookout for another team.
Okay.
You don't generally want to be the best player in your team for,
Yeah,
unless it's like,
it's not really a good feeling.
yeah, it depends on how much better you are. You get what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, you need to be careful. You need to be careful. Basically, you always need to be at least somewhat challenged and figuring things out. But yeah, I mean, obviously, every team is going to have issues. Just spoiler alert. Even the most
Right. Right.
positive teams I've had like interpersonal issues and practice issues and something like that.
Right.
But yeah, exactly. Okay, I would say keep your eye on the horizon, but at the same time, I think if you're like GM3, GM4, it's not like really anywhere you go is going to be a safe haven. So in
Yeah.
the meantime, you can just improve yourself as best as you possibly can.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's quickly go through a couple of these gameplay points. I think these three things that we dropped are probably the most important things that we're going to talk about here.
Mhm.
Yeah, always go in with intensity, always have a goal, take breaks between cues if you can, move around, make sure you're getting enough sleep, all that kind of stuff. What do you hope to
Yeah.
get out of the session? Learn more about my mistakes, positioning. Time of writing this, I feel like I'm not sure how aggressive an angle is necessary given the situation. Talk to me about that.
So when I was playing, when it was Cassidy meta,
Mm-hmm.
I found myself trying to take more off angles to, get more
Yep.
value.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes I, got caught out.
Yep.
And I found it hard to differentiate when it was just, uh, when it was actually my mistake, or if, I'm Cassidy and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yep.
Uh,
Okay.
Especially if it's not too deep of an off angle and I still get punished for it.
Okay.
But and I'm not playing too much Cassidy anymore, so I guess, but
Okay.
it still applies to pretty much every hit scan.
Okay.
Um,
How to work on and improve micro mistakes. It seems a lot of my deaths are from little things like being slightly too far, getting hooked, ADSing too long in Widow. Okay, here's how you fix micro mistakes. You don't refer to them as micro mistakes necessarily. You just refer to them in isolation. Stop saying my micro is bad. What about your micro is bad? And then fix it.
okay.
When you say I have trouble with ADSing like my Widow, go into games with Widow, and that's all you're working on. I don't care if it's a Widow mirror or not. Fix your ADSing. Fix your movement. Fix your strafe patterns. Fix when you're using grapple and when you're using crouch. Fix when you're jump peeking, when you're not jump peeking. Fix it.
Okay.
No
Just make
vague,
that- yeah.
no vague. Like you have to work. You can and should be working at these things in isolation. Okay. I know that's like kind of a sledgehammer answer, but moving along. Specifics on positioning on maps with high verticality. Is that something that you have a code for, or is that just more of a general question?
I might have a new. Yeah, I have a new Bonnie code recent. I don't know if. No, it's probably a bad map because
It's no problem. It's no
obliterated.
problem. It's no problem. Okay, we'll keep going here. What do you feel is holding you back from improving? Lack of understanding is definitely a big part of it. Sometimes I'll make a mistake and be aware of the mistake, but I'll not be able to explain with confidence why it was a mistake. In duels, my perception of the enemy's DPS skill is a key factor in whether I choke shots against him. If I truly believe I'm better, I feel more confident and end up dominating, and vice versa. Is this a name recognition situation where you start to play versus people that you know and you go, oh, this person's good, and then you choke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially as I go open higher rank.
I'm skill issue.
Yeah.
As frankly as I can possibly say, I've known that the coaches that have said like, "Oh, just put it on streamer mode," or or put the names randomized. No, don't do that. Get over yourself.
I don't like doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, get over yourself. You suck right now.
Yeah.
That's just fine. Eventually, you're just going to grow up to the point where you're like, "Oh, these guys are just human beings like everybody else." And honestly,
Yeah.
they're better than you. So the only way to get better is to lose over and over and over again. And you're not throwing your rank games by trying, frankly, because if you're trying to like cheese the way, like if it's a reasonable duel to take, if you were equally skilled, then you need to take the duel, whether you're equally skilled or not. I'm not saying, jump peek every Widowmaker when you have, when you could be grappling instead, right? I'm not saying peek an Infrasight Widow when you don't have Infrasight. I'm saying if it's a 50-50, 60, if you have a slight advantage in the duel on paper, you need to take the duel. You need to take the duel.
It's just the correct thing to do. Yeah.
It's the correct thing to do, right? You need to be, you need to be going, okay, this is mathematically the correct play. And even if I fail it, I need to develop the habit of taking smart duels, even if I'm bad and they're good. That's it. If you could look at a duel and be like, my mechanics were just worse, that's why I lost, then that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Totally fine. I know that's easier said than done, but there's really the best way of practicing this is just exposure over and over and over again. Is this objectively correct? Take the duel. Is this objectively correct? Take the duel over and over and over again. That's the way that you have to approach things. Okay. You said something about Vaxta. Maybe my movement could be improved upon as well. Again, you might be right. Don't be vague. Look in your VODs. How's my movement? How's my strafing? When is my strafing bad? When am I forgetting to strafe? When am I strafing too much? Be specific. Because you're at a point in time now where you could practice these things pretty much every game, right? You could force yourself to go into it with every single game. And then you don't even necessarily need to judge if you've improved at it. If you said, oh, I was really dialed into my strafing the last 3 games, that's all for today. We'll practice again tomorrow. Sign for me.
Yeah.
We'll take a look. You want to shoot me a code because I don't have any other questions.
Sure. Let's do this game is. I had some ups and downs in this game, so I do this one.
Okay. I'm being a little brusque with a lot of your questions, but I think my point is that whenever you feel like something is a weakness, give it attention and then move on.
Yeah, I like that approach, to be honest. Yeah.
It's really not complicated. Sometimes there is an understanding issue, and that's what we'll look at a little bit here. We'll try to talk about a lot of the positioning and stuff, but if you're aware that your movement is an issue, then think about it and solve it. Because we could put you on like a movement class or this and that class or this and that seminar, but you need to learn to be able to coach yourself. And by that, not just telling yourself what you need to be practicing, but sitting there, not knowing how you need to improve your movement and figuring it out.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if I should do this or I wonder if I should do that,
Yeah, I think putting attention to it in the first place is important too. Cause,
It is. It's how we learn, right?
Not think about it for games and games and games.
It's how we learn.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny because that's how you develop skill with the knowledge. Is like sometimes you don't even necessarily need to know what you're doing. But if you just think about it and put more attention to it, you'll figure it out. Like I've known people that don't know how to position, don't know any positioning theory, but they are like, okay, I'm going to try and really focus on my positioning, and they position better. Just giving it attention, and then obviously that builds better autopilot and so on. So, okay. Why this game?
Uh, it's recent. I my mechanics were warm.
Okay.
Um, we lost, and I struggled on attack and
Okay.
uh, didn't know how to properly didn't know properly when to give attention to this tracer, and I think it lost some fights because of it.
Yep. So, why does this feel bad?
I'm exposing myself to the Hanzo, using my cooldown to get up there, losing the off angle on choke.
Why did
Um,
you make this action?
I guess I wanted to help our Alari.
Sure. And the teammates were in spawn, or enemy teammates were in spawn, so you felt like you had a window of opportunity.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But in terms of theory, the reason why this doesn't work is because this is what we call a sandwich, where you have put yourself between enemies with your back to threats.
Mm.
You kind of see what I'm saying? So this is
Yeah.
fine. Like, this is really fine. Like, you have time to do this if you want to. It's really not a big deal. But obviously, this is why this is going to feel a little bit bad the longer you stay here. So you need to rotate out.
Took a lot of damage from that.
No comment? What do you do well here? So when you're VOD reviewing, I want you to not just put attention on the things that you do poorly, but I want you to point out things that you do well. Why does this mechanically feel so good? What did you do? Let's look at your movement for just a brief moment.
Sure.
How would you feel about your movement here? Let's watch.
Oh, I did the, yeah, I kind of like stagger step to the right.
Yes, you staggered step.
Yeah.
You staggered step, and why did that work so well?
Because it ruined his expectation of me going straight back to the left.
Correct. And
'cause
for
his
you,
projectile is gonna aim in the same spot. Yeah.
right, and for you, is making yourself harder to hit right now more important or less important?
More,
Why?
because they're already at a disadvantage.
They're already at a disadvantage, right? So you just need to make sure that they don't hit the shot, and so you're good to go. In addition to that, let's look at the first shot that you land. Crosshair placement, right? You guessed the wrong door, but because your crosshair was already at head height, all it took was a lateral move. Right? I know that sounds like a corny plat player thing, but whenever you're looking at, oh, I missed the shot, always check the crosshair first. Wasn't making it easy for myself, right?
Right. Yeah. Make the shot as easy as possible. Yeah.
And then this jump right here, what do you think about this?
It puts me at a slight advantage for the first shot after it.
Because where would his crosshair be when you're ducking behind a corner?
At the corner, right?
So when you jump,
Yeah.
he is forced to move his crosshair.
Right. Right.
You see that? So you might have done this without thinking. You probably did it without thinking, but it looks pretty good. It was good crosshair placement into a nice flick. Aggressive strafing that worked with the projectile when you needed to just get to cover. And then when you got to cover, instead of corner peeking a Hanzo, you jump peeked the Hanzo. So it forced him to have to move his crosshair.
Yeah, I definitely did that subconsciously, but yeah, I think that's what I was.
But that's what we want. We want these
right,
things to
yeah.
be subconscious, right? Like this,
Yeah.
it has to be subconscious. But when it's
Yeah.
not done subconsciously, you have to do it consciously until it's done subconsciously.
Right. Right. Right.
And so what we could do is we've talked about your strafe pattern when you're at an advantage, jump peeking on a corner peek, right? And then a crosshair placement. Okay, so we have 3 different mechanics. If any of these, if you look at your mechanics and movement in a VOD review, right? This is how you VOD review, okay? All you do is you look at one of those aspects. What was my crosshair placement now? What was my crosshair placement now? What was my crosshair placement now? You ignore everything else but your crosshair placement. And you give yourself an idea of, like, is this something that I could benefit from working at? Am I jump peeking appropriately? What's my strafe looking like? Because you can work at every single one of those things in isolation if you feel that there's something you need to practice. We're taking the mystery out of mechanics. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
You just break it down into details. We're not even talking about like complicated strafe patterns here. Just simple, simple, simple. What do you think about your positioning right now? What do you think?
I kind of wanted to be where Widow was, but the Widow was there, so I didn't want to hold the same angle.
Okay, but answer the question.
I think it's good.
I think so too. You have a shorter off angle, which makes sense given the fact that your range is more flexible than Widowmaker's. You have nice crossfire here. They're hiding from Widow, and yet they're walking directly into your dynamite, and you still have an angle that you can control from here with cover. Okay.
Right.
I mean, that's huge. That's like monstrously important dynamite right there.
Yeah. Enforced recall.
This is, again, monstrously important shots, right? Like, you've shut down this push so much. And then now you still have an opportunity to do this. I mean, you see this? This is great positioning, and we're being deliberate with it, right? You took a good angle, you used cover, you set up a crossfire with your Widowmaker, your cooldowns were good, the dynamite's good. I mean, you should look at this fight and be very pleased, regardless of the result, right? Because I don't think there's anything that you could have done better besides, oh, hit the headshot and Lucio and killed him, you know?
Right.
Okay, well done. Now, what do you think here?
So I'm just trying to avoid this widow, like peeking this widow. Pretty
But
much,
there's
'cause
not a
I
good
find-
solution here. It's ugly, right? So solve the problem.
Yeah.
Be a playmaker. Be a playmaker.
Maybe go to the left.
Okay.
Like coach going across.
Yep.
Hold that angle. Then I'm not directly peeking widow, and I can still do.
Yep. Give me another
damage with
solution.
Dynamites.
Give me another solution. High risk, high reward.
Bookstore.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Maybe a little bit awkward. Something to consider. You ready for this one? Look at the comp. What's to stop you from taking this position here?
Yeah, I mean, nothing really, unless the.
It's risky,
widow's,
right?
Like watching it, it's risky. Yeah.
It's risky, but maybe it's worth the risk. Even coach getting to a position like this here might be worth considering, right? And then waiting to see if anybody grapples here. I don't know. Something to consider. Remember, everything in Overwatch with positioning is it's a Sudoku problem. There's always a solution. Are you smart enough to find it? And right now, you were trolling the lobby, right? Because you're so scared of this Widow. So then what you're doing is you're just not playing the video game. There's a solution. Right. She can't be in 7 different places at once. Tracer can't be in 7 different places at once. There is a gap in their armor. This is that gap. This is that gap. This is that gap. Are you smart enough to find it? And the answer is right now, no. Heck, even this is that gap, right? Which you brought up earlier, right? So, I mean, I really don't even like this. This is pointless to look at, right? Because you've done nothing. Where should you go?
I could wrap around left side or go up top.
You got it. I really don't know how I feel about this Ashe skin, by the way. So I might be subtracting points.
I like the base version better, to be honest.
What do you got? What do you think?
So I bobbed in reaction to their engage. So I thought they were gonna be mostly in the corner, but they kited faster than I expected, to be honest.
Question is this: going back to your positioning and the problem-solving mechanic, right? Like you have information here. You also can predict things. Where could you be? Where should you be?
It could be on the window on the right.
Here, or you're talking about
like the close,
here.
This one, yeah.
You could.
One, yeah.
This is low risk, low reward, right? But it's better than where we're at right now. It's better than where we're at right now, correct? Okay, give me another option.
Less vulnerable. You could go on the ledge, peeking main, but that's
not
high
gonna work.
risk.
Not gonna work. You know what you can do though? You ready for this? Hide. You have Bob. Wait. Oh crap! That kills that play. But in theory, but you see what I'm saying? In theory, if they don't pop sights, all of a sudden you have a better angle for dynamite and shots. You pull the Widow in, you kill her. You could do the same thing here, right? This all the way here. Again, if you're quiet, I mean, here you go.
Yeah, right. Nobody can really contest me.
And this is a fight-winning play. This is a fight-winning play. It's over. They've lost with this happened, right? Okay, something to consider. Don't think of Overwatch 2 as like this static shoot, play, cover. You need to be a playmaker while doing those things.
Okay.
Because in theory, there's nothing wrong with the dynamite there. There's nothing wrong with pushing the tracer here. You're just useless. Is what it is. Like going back to the Bob and going back to your positioning. It's like you're not getting the reward out of the risk that you're taking.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You need to intelligently push yourself. Intelligently push yourself. Right now, where do you need to go? Where does a playmaker go? With the information that you have, where should you rotate to? See, I even like this. I don't even mind this. You get here with Dynamite with the EDRE, you get him out. It's worth a shot. I like this. I like this too. I like this a lot.
Still felt like I did air here.
Really? Look what the Spap's doing.
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm molesting some heals.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing air here, that's more of a mechanical commentary. Which, by the way, we can revisit the mechanics here. What do you see? Let me know if you see anything. You see that jump?
Yeah, I took the shot mid-jump while I was strafing, which makes it a little harder. That was a hair off. Could have been movement strafing, like mirror strafing there a little bit, and there.
You killed the ram, by the way, just so we're clear. You killed the ram.
Did?
You did. Look at the backline. Look at this backline. You see this? They're not respecting your Widow, because if they were, they'd be up here. I mean, that's pretty ugly, but, you know.
Yeah.
You made a play. You made a play. You didn't even hit it really much of a shot. But you made a play. You created space. Good job. And you should have lived that, too.
Yeah, I didn't hear. The audio was messed up on my end.
Yeah, that's fine.
Weird.
Nice. Solve the problem. What do you do?
Yeah, so I get faced with this a lot, where it's just like me in front of a tank. I need to take an angle around him.
Okay, where should you go?
And I know I just killed Widow, so I can go up top for free, pretty much.
You got it.
Yeah. I think dueling the Tracer here, it's like kind of risky.
Well, it also puts you at direct LOS of the Widow. You had an opportunity here to take this position, and you just chose not to take it. And then the Widow gets here, and so then you have to drop. But then you can be a little bit more aggressively pushing the Tracer with Dynamite and shooting here. Then you can play this game here, right? Yeah. I mean that's it. That's it. It's funny how often that you die, regardless of whether you're not taking the space or not, right? Like you're dying anyway, right?
Yeah.
Where should you go? Certainly right now.
I could.
Remember the 50-50 duel. Is there an advantage here?
Okay. I mean, I can try dueling Widow.
Why not? Look at the range you're playing at, right? You have Infrasights. She has Infrasights. Do it. Why not? Coach gun here. Unscope and unscope spam at the strafe at this sideline. Might be worth a shot. Because you're peeking her anyway. You might as well use your kit. Get a little crazy with it, right? You kind of see what I'm saying, right? Like it's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, it's a little bit crazy, but like you have an advantage.
Right, yeah.
Use it. Like you certainly don't have an advantage here. So I mean, even here, I don't think I dynamite this. No way I dynamite this. Why? What should you do with this dynamite instead?
I guess take a deeper angle, then throw it.
Right, take the angle and then decide what you want to do with it. Tracer pushes you, you have dynamite. Right. Tracer ignores you, then you dynamite backline, right? Like, you have the tools. Like, what you have with Ashe is you have a kit that allows you to take these duels. So don't just throw them and then push an angle, because that's not going to work, right?
Right.
With the information you have, where should you go?
I wanted to go top, but I knew the Widow was holding main somewhere, so I was afraid of the headshot.
You have all the information you need right now.
Yeah, swing left.
Swing left, right where you were earlier. Where we yelled at you for being earlier. You have information now that makes it actually the perfect spot. This is insane. That's insane. And not only is it insane, it's no, just peeking this angle here. It's not only insane, but it's useless. This is not insane. And it's not useless. You see it? It's nothing. We're not telling you to be more aggressive. We're telling you to use your brain.
Right.
But that's both defensive and offensive. Okay. With the information that you have, and the skills and cooldowns, rather, that you have, what should you do right now?
I think I go top.
I think go top. I agree. You hear steps in the close left. You have Coach, you have Bob, and you're close dynamite. Take top. Do it right now.
Right.
And this angle's like fine, but no.
Yeah, the Bob is terrible.
Take top. Take top. You have the tool. That's your advantage. Like you could. It's scary for anything that pushes you here with Coach and dynamite, right? It's scary. Do it. Instead, we're gonna, dynamite Ramantra behind shields. It's not it. And then Coach can out. Right? Like, I appreciate the fact that the Bob's on an angle, but like, I mean, man, like you could have actually.
How do you feel about dynamiting tank in general?
I would say it's fine. I don't love it, but it's fine. Like the DPS passive is just like kind of useful, I guess. It's kind of weak, but like it's kind of useful. But like the more important thing is like don't stop looking for solutions. The most important solution is what's the best position that I could be holding and to get value from that position.
Right.
Don't worry about pursuing dynamiting tank or forcing picks. Force the position and then just see what happens. Like if you take this position here and everyone's freaking hiding in this room and you just throw a dynamite on the solo tank standing out in the open, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, if I'm positioned correctly, the answer will be there.
That's it, exactly. It's the same thing with target priority as Tracer. You take a deep short off angle. Do you shoot tank or squishies? I don't know. Take the deep short off angle and see what's there. See, the problem is now you take the angle, but now you don't have dynamite. Now you don't have Bob. Now you don't have team, right? And so it's like, it's not bad that you did that. It's just not as useful as it would have been. You know where you should go. You know where Hanzo is right now. Yeah, you know where Hanzo is right now. You're thinking about it. Yep. Even though this is a range that is definitely outside of where you want to be, she has no idea. You're going to win this. And you did this without dynamite. Imagine if you had done this with dynamite, right?
Yeah.
The funny thing about this is you probably like, oh, this is a feed.
I was thinking about like, oh, if I had dynamite here, I probably would have won that.
Right. But even though you mess this up and don't have dynamite, this is a fight-winning play because you want to know how Wub wins this duel. I have a prediction here. Let's find out.
Yep.
Not to mention Storm Arrow, Bap Pocket, Suzu.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And then everyone's looking at you, so guess who the Hanzo's not thinking about? Again.
Right.
He doesn't even know where Wub is.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a playmaker right there. It's intelligent. It would have been even more intelligent with dynamite, but yeah. You see what you just did? You probably looked at this like, I trolled. No, you won the fight. You won your team this fight. Nice job. You took space intelligently. Let's look a little bit at attack, because I know that you said that was a bit of a pain point.
Struggled,
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain point here. Let's give me just a second as well. Have a previous session. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, I think it just other than like how much I should respect like Widowmaker, like respect her sightline, when it comes to taking my angles.
What effective range do you respect a Widowmaker, and when do you disrespect a Widowmaker?
Like I definitely disrespect it, like to where that Alari is right now.
Okay.
It's kind of iffy if the Widow's but where the Ram is right now.
Agreed.
If I'm a little closer, it's probably my advantage.
Okay, that's it.
Or more of a 50-50 if I'm a little closer.
That's it. So if you're a little closer and you're like, oh, I can coach gun up to an angle she's not going to expect. Like you disrespected that Widowmaker last fight. You played just a little bit inside, like where you were not going to be as effective, but you had the angle advantage. She didn't know where you were, and she was distracted. Right. So you factored that in. Like I'm not teaching you really anything new here. I'm just telling you to use the knowledge that you already have. Use the knowledge that you have about taking space, and then in addition to that, use the information on your screen about where the enemies are, or in your ears about where the enemies are, and then take an angle around that.
Okay.
And then if you're like, oh, well, they're in spawn, okay, then predict. They don't have verticality, roll the dice. I have Bob, hide in the hallway. Their Widow's going to peek on main, use the bookcase, right? Use the bookstore.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Don't
Yep.
just sit on a passive corner and shoot, right? The only quality angle you took in pretty much the entire defense for a long time was just you crossfiring with your Widowmaker. You were definitely thinking about it. You definitely were thinking about it, right, when you flanked backline, and it was great. It didn't win you guys the fight because your team trolled, but it was great.
Yeah.
Then second and a lot of third, power down. And that's why you're not GM2 or GM1.
Right.
What do you do? You have a lot of information right now.
Yeah, so I know my team's in hotel.
You know where Widow is. You know where
I
your
know
team
where Widow
is.
is.
You know where Ram is.
Yeah.
What's opened up?
Yeah, the right side angle.
Right
on
side.
Point.
And
Yeah.
why is this dynamite a troll?
Because now I don't have it for backline, and it only does like 50 damage.
Right. The thing is that like you're gonna be taking an aggressive position off of this, right? You know,
Yeah.
you don't know about this, but you know that you're
Yeah.
gonna be taking an aggressive position regardless of what happens, even if it's here or whatever. And you just use your most important duel. Number one, to pressure enemies. Number two, if you get contested. Like you need dynamite for this.
Right.
You didn't take space. You just chuck dynamite. You see how like the dynamite is like it's a symptom of the disease, right? It's not that, I dynamited tank. That's the problem. Because this dynamite tank's fine. You might as well, right?
Right.
But when you had an opportunity to take space, you didn't take space. And then, of course, you just dynamited tank.
Right.
I mean, this is good. This is good. Like, you don't have really an opportunity to take space right now. So just obliterate the ram. It's good. I mean, you could even... But see, now you see that that's a bad dynamite. Because what should you be doing with this dynamite?
Wrapping and taking space. Yeah.
Wrapping and taking space. Because you have the opportunity. Wrap right,
Right.
get here, and hurt people, right? Or go here and hurt people, right? You need to go. Now, you don't have full information on Widowmaker, so you need to be cautious. But the funny thing is even without taking space, you're still at risk of Widowmaker.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, he hits a crazy pre-fire there.
That's a crazy pre-fire. Wow.
It was crazy. Like, he literally didn't see me at all. Like, this is crazy.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. I mean, we'll take it. I mean,
Yeah,
unless we took
it's cool.
space, you know? No. Take space first. Take space first, right? Take space
Okay.
first. The dynamite on a ram isn't enough to complement. Like sometimes you'll use a cooldown to take space, right? This doesn't do that. This doesn't. It's not. It doesn't do enough. Take the space, then use the dynamite. Imagine dynamite right here, right? Or
Right,
imagine
yeah.
dynamite here. Let's go. Let's go. Your ram needs you to take space here. And obviously, Tracer Widow being here, it's rough, right? So then what's the solution?
Yeah. I can wrap hotel and just ignore them.
Hotel and ignore them. That's it.
Do I just say, like, fuck it to my Ana and just, like...
What do you mean?
Because I'm thinking this Tracer is just, like, looking for her Ana.
I don't care.
And
I
I
don't
feel
care.
like
She'll handle
it
it.
feels like it's my job to contest the Tracer for some
No,
reason. I don't know.
no. Your job is to put pressure. If the Tracer,
Okay.
if you have a sightline on Tracer, shoot the Tracer. Just like when you were here. Remember
Yeah.
when you were here on defense? Shoot the Tracer. Right? Right now?
Right.
Do damage. Because you might deny that Tracer a little bit of value, but you know what the Tracer's doing? She's getting value by existing and without doing any damage.
Yeah,
You hate-
distracting me,
And you
so-
have the opportunity to get value. She does not. She has to actually make her take risk. You're not. Letting her get value
Right.
without her actually taking any risk.
I'm giving her the.
You're giving her the
by,
value.
like,
Right,
by
right,
Giving her
right.
attention. Yeah.
Right. Just do what your character does well. Take an angle and do damage. That's it. It's really not that deep.
Okay.
I mean, I feel bad for Wub because we've had an entry
Yeah,
pick
he's
like
popping
every
off.
single fight, and then we're just like the pressure just dies. I mean, give her respect, give the Tracer respect, but again, here, like with the information you have, where do you need to be? Where do you need to be? Where do you
Right.
need to be? Thank you. A little scared of Widow, I understand. This is fine. This is fine.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm just probably gonna die
you
here,
don't
but-
you don't stop Tracer from getting the pole swim here. Let's actually go back to that pole swim kill.
Yeah.
Check it out. You're not
I'm not
stopping that.
stopping that. Yeah.
Okay. So you might as well get trades elsewhere, and you tried. It's just a shame. Like, this is what I like to call the imperfect metronome, where the tempo of when you have done something versus when your team has done something is just off.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, you've done, this is the first fight where you did something, and then your backline got rolled, right? It's just bad luck, you know? We needed you the first 2 fights, the first 3 fights.
Right. Right.
Let's go. You have information. Let's rotate. We have Bob. Let's rotate. We have Dynamite. Let's rotate. I don't really know what your auto is doing. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, but, like, come on, we gotta take some space here. All right, let's keep going here. Oh, that might be a fun exercise. Where would you go? I think we kind of just blazed right past it. Where would you go with the information you have? You have infocytes. So what do you think?
So I do notice our monkey's low.
Ignore monkey. Ignore monkey. Look at the enemies.
Okay.
What's wide open right now?
The right side of statue.
Right side. Go right side of statue. Now it's scary with ramp, but it's open.
Yeah.
It's open. In addition to that, you could also argue that I could go all the way with my EDRE if you'd had a little bit more time. Maybe more risky because of the widow, but yeah, statue right side, just go here, use your infra sight, and just launch Bob here or launch Bob here, and it's over. This ram
Right.
this ram's over. It's over. Gosh, that was long. Okay. Okay. I think you could have waited an extra half a second here.
Yeah.
But I don't mind using Bob as, like, it's kind of like the opposite of what we were saying with Dynamite. Dynamite, stop opening with Dynamite to create space because it's not doing the job very well. But if you think it can get a Bob and backline, it's fine. Create space. Just be careful about peeking this because this is not and this is not quite an advantage, and she certainly is already pre-fired in here as well.
Right.
That's okay. All right, so now what do we do? Where do you go? It's fine. She's there, right? So you shoot her. Yeah, it's fine. That was questionable,
Yeah.
to say the least. Yeah, you did something, so okay. We're happy. We're happy. Okay, let's keep going. Maybe we could look at a little bit of Trace here. Just if do you want to just quickly take a
Sure,
blaze?
yeah.
Yeah, because it's gonna be the same stuff, right?
Right. Right.
Okay, cart duty. It's fine. I mean, it's fine. You know, somebody has to push cart. You can't get there in time, so. With the information you have, where do you go? Do you like this?
I'm going to contest this tracer. I do like this because if our Ilari wants to hold high ground or something, or just pressures the tracer out so she doesn't have as many decisions when the fight starts.
Sure. What do you think about your micro here? You know where this tracer is. What do you think?
I knew exactly where she was. I could have had better crosshair placement.
I agree. What about your blinks here?
Could have blinked there, because she had the angle on me after blinking.
Your
Should have
crosshair
immediately
placement was
reacted to it.
bad, and then you proceed to ego her crosshair placement at advantage. Like even here,
Yeah.
your first response should not be to shoot; it should be to
I
blink.
should have blinked. Yeah.
You screwed up, and then certainly here,
Yeah.
she outblinked you.
I should have died. I should have died.
You should have died. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yep. Yep. That's it. That's it. There you go. Take the angle and shoot. Right? Just shoot what's convenient.
Right.
You took an angle to clear tracer, then you deepen the angle on the ram, and then then the ram walked away, so you deepened your angle on the backline.
Yep.
Keep going. Keep going. Don't go backwards on this tracer. Keep going. Because again, you didn't stop it. You didn't stop it. Deepen the angle. Instead, you're about to freaking die to Ramasha, who should be dead because you should be shooting him in the back. Okay. Okay.
This is
I mean, if you're here, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
The difference between you chasing a tracer and you shooting a tracer when she's there is fine.
No, it was is this.
Oh. I mean, I think my only problem with this here is because I'd expect a blink from this Tracer here.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Actually, no, you might have read it correctly. She might have 0 blinks here.
I could have aimed down, honestly.
Yeah. See, you're right. You're right.
I probably would have hit, yeah.
Yeah. I did that. Okay, you did count blinks correctly there. Okay, I'll give you some credit.
Yeah.
That's an ego moment for sure, but it's it's just an educated ego moment. So I'm fine.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is fine. And you still have the advantage of the duel here. Yeah, good, right? Again, it's not about, oh, you don't mark Tracer. It's just, if you're there, sure. Like, if you don't shoot Tracer's ass. If you don't dynamite tank, no. If it's there, shoot, go. Just, yeah, it's fine. Like, you read the situation, you're like, this is convenient for me, I want to do this, and then you did it, and it worked. Right. It's fine. This is just more you relate to the party because of Tracer, which is fine. Okay. Oh, you guys lose this. Oh, okay. So
yeah.
let's look at this. Let's look at this from a mechanical standpoint here.
Okay.
Oh my days. I mean, this is fine. This is where you are. This is where you need to get value. You're controlling backline. I actually think the problem here is I don't think you should go backwards. I don't think you should go backwards. Like, as in go peel off the ram. I know it feels bad, but you just need to have faith. Because the second that you leave, look at what happens.
Yeah, they ram out this.
Watch.
Oh, what the heck? That's a free one clip.
That you let them take all the space.
Yeah.
And by the way, how much damage do you do to ram when you go backwards?
None.
You just need to hold the angle. You need to hold the angle. That's a forced recall.
And the ram dies anyways, yeah.
That's a forced widow. That's a forced Diari pylon. Like, there's so much value from here, and then now you're not in the angle to be able to do anything, right?
Right.
Hold the space. I know it's painful, but you have to trust your teammates to do their jobs. You cannot compromise your job to chase butterflies, because that's a frustrating fight for sure. But like, you did your job, and the second you stopped trusting your teammates, you didn't do your job.
So I guess like I was thinking that it was my job, so maybe it's like a miscalculation of like what my responsibility is.
It could just be a misunderstanding, right? Like, your job is to do what's convenient. It's the same thing when you were asking me, like, as Ashe, like, I need to be like respecting that Tracer, and I said no because it's not convenient, right? You're not there to deal with like, if you now when you were isolated with Tracer in your backline, then yeah, you need to be giving that Tracer some attention, but you don't stop doing value elsewhere to focus a Tracer. You just do what's convenient. Like, think about like what happened on second point, where you marked the Tracer, then off-angled the ram, then went for a widow and backline. Your job was simply to apply pressure, and you did it really well.
Okay, yeah.
And then heck, that follows up with the killing the Tracer in your backline, right? That was good because you were there too. Then you deepen your angle, you deepen to right, you force the EDRA back out, and then all you need to do is just stay there. Just hold the angle. Trust your team to be able to deal with the ram. The problem was when you went backwards to go deal with it, and then you lost angle. It's kind of like a little microcosm of what you did when you were playing Ashe and you chased the Tracer on first point. Remember, and they got shot in the back by the Hanzo?
Yeah.
That one was fine because the fight was like over in theory, so you had a couple of downtimes to just chase the Tracer a little bit. But like in theory, they're like, if you did not rotate back, then you would have been out of position. So just do your job.
Right. Okay.
Do your job. Okay, so what are some points here? I'm not going to write these up. I want you to write them up and or just say them out loud. What do you got?
Sure. Yeah, so I would say that the first thing is, take space when it's given to me. So like thinking about the Ashe examples with taking the angles, and then specifically saving dynamite for taking the space, so that when given the opportunity, I know how to use it better.
Yep. Can I offer some advice? I would say take space first, see what you do with dynamite. And if you need dynamite, take space, that's fine. But don't say, oh, don't dynamite first. I don't know. Just focus on setting up your angle, your position, and just see what happens, right? Keep going.
Unless there's something like a golden opportunity to throw it, right?
Yep.
Before that, yeah. Okay. And then use the enemy's position and information as a means to determine how aggressive of an angle I take.
Yep.
And then
Sudoku, right? Where's the enemy's position? Where do I need to be?
Right.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. I think just
Okay,
in
cool.
general
Yeah.
being more comfortable with being like a playmaker, like solving the situation. Like think of it less as like my
Mm,
job is to hold an angle and shoot. Be like my job is to try and like look at the fight situation, the old situation where the enemies are, and be like, okay, how can I win? How can I apply like the most pressure possible?
okay. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but
and solve.
I guess if I put more attention to that, because like that's something like I was like kind of aware of, but I don't think I think our like conversation that we had at the beginning was helpful in terms of like, okay, now I know I need to like that's something I need to put intention on,
Yep.
um, or
Yep.
intention towards, so that I can actively apply it in like every fight. Because like as we
Yep.
saw, like I missed a lot of opportunities,
Yes, you did.
um, to make those to take those angles,
Yep.
but I think if I put more attention towards it, then that I'll hit those opportunities more consistently and get more value.
Right, that's it. It's not really has not have anything to do with like aggression or ego or confidence. It's just like looking at like strategically where can I really maximize my pressure output. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then finding out like where that is because there are hard rules about cover, range, off angles, but then all of it is dependent upon that and where's the enemy set up. Like what's the right angle? I don't know. I'm not going to give you a
Yeah.
breakdown. Like you have to look at the situation and make that call yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Um, no, I don't think so.
All right, mate. It was a pleasure.